Great. Okay. Let's see how it works. Okay, it works. Hello. That's a lot of you. It's very nice to be here and to see you all today. I hope we're going to have a great time for the next 30 minutes and we both learn something great, you and I. I'm going to tell you straight away what we're going to talk about today so you can take as much of it as possible for yourself. And firstly, I'm just going to say I am Monika. I am a UX professional, but more about me later. So what we're going to talk about today, it's discussing about the change we work and on a corporate project. So the possibility of how we can change it for the better for all of us. And if anybody here ever worked on a corporate project and felt frustrated working on a corporate project, this is the talk for you. You're going to benefit from it. If you never worked on a corporate project, if you never worked on any bigger project and just want to see how it looks like, what's the backstage of it, what you might possibly sign on in the future, this is the talk for you as well. So let me give you a context at first so you can just draw a mental model of what kind of product we're going to talk about here and how I ended up working on this project. What was the situation? So I'm going to tell you a little story. The story that I titled The Revenge of the Corporate Reality. So we're going to dissect a real-life case of building a colossal corporate project, a digital product. I'm going to see all the wins and all the dramas, and hopefully you can take out of this something for yourself and see something similar and find out how you can solve problems that we all have while working, either working on this project in the corporations due to this very particular environment or in general or any bigger projects. So our story begins this year, early spring, and we all know about the market situation back then. Companies around the world were struggling due to economic crisis, so it hits hard not only on the startups and small business, it hits hard on the huge corporation as well, as strategists are implementing these policies to minimize cost, to cut risks. It impacts everybody, all of us. I think we all can relate because it was a very difficult situation. And all this creates the overall feeling of insecurity, of instability, and just simply fear. I believe probably many of us here will know somebody who lost a job. Many professionals lost jobs, great people. And best case scenario, people kept their jobs and felt frustrated or were relocated to a product with more secure income. And for me, this was, in my case, I got relocated to a corporate project. My situation was that at that time I did lose a small project and a team I have been stubbornly building for the last 2 years. So if you might thinking now that my morals were somewhere here on the level of the famous Ben Affleck meme, I would say, I love the meme, by the way, I would say you're pretty close. You're just on point. So this was my new reality. I got relocated to a huge project that consisted of around 30 applications built by 5 front-end teams, 2 design teams, 20 project managers or more who could really count them all, and all the people between, like brand expression, accessibility people, research people, UX writers, backend people, many backend people, all of this. And I got a new team because I got relocated as a design lead to a team that never worked with a lead before. So they were very talented people, very independent people. And there was I. So that was my new reality there. And to give you a question maybe first. Do we have anybody that was actually working on a corporate project before? Yes. I was afraid that nobody's going to raise the hand. Okay, we do have people. And question number 2. For all of you who raised a hand, did you ever felt frustrated working on this project? Are there any reason? Yes. Oh wow. Okay. I was not prepared for that many hands. But okay, then that's good because you're gonna use this speech for something, and that's what we do the speeches, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. We have a pretty good picture about my situation, my story, and now I want to give you a better picture about the product because we're gonna need it for later. You're gonna need it to understand the other part. So the product was this huge platform consisting of many independent applications. And each tile here represents an independent application. The application itself was a project, an independent project managed by its manager, like a project manager. And each application had their own team responsible for its build and its maintenance. And all of them supplied an independent service, like managing your working hours or learning a new skill or just, going through their news articles and memes when your boss was watching. So all of them were independent projects, but all of them also were intertwined into one big product, into one big platform that is supposed to give the user this experience of a seamless, smooth user experience, that they know they have a one-stop platform to do almost everything. So we have the product, we have the picture, and where was I in this? I got there to do 3 jobs. My first job was to audit the whole thing and to find out the issues, figure out where the problems are, and to propose solutions. That was my first job. My second job was to look over and smooth out the connections in between the applications, so the user journeys in between this independent project, to better it, to improve it, so we actually end up with the product that give you the image of one-stop platform. Because in general, when I came there, we got pretty bad feedback. Like, people were not seeing it as one product. It was very inconsistent. That's my second job. And my third job was to take care of the team, the new team of designers that I inherited, and supply them better working experience. So that was me. And as I was researching and digging deeper into the whole environment of the whole new society of that many people, and figure out where these problems originate, because we had like a lot of technical issues. We had a lot of bugs on productions, and the feedback was not very pleasant. So I actually discovered that the many technical issues we're struggling, they have a non-technical source, and that the main problem is actually lies in the way the work itself is approached and how the problems are being solved or not being solved. So let's go through this sources. That's pretty relevant picture of, almost me there. Let's just skim through it, because you have the idea of what we were struggling with. We had large, unclear management structure, so long chain of command. Nobody knew actually to whom go for help, who's responsible for what, who should approve what. And people were frustrated because the outcome was that my every move had to be approved by many people, and I had to locate them first through multiple emails, meetings, messages, and it took me so much time that I could literally feel myself aging there. And it was not just me, it was like this for everybody. We also had, I think you find it very relatable, too long meetings that could have been emails. We had insufficient communication on both sides actually, between leadership and team members, and people kind of felt like they were kept in the dark because they didn't know what's happening in the product, and they were feeling like we're not telling them what's going on, and so there was a lack of transparency, and we had a curious phenomena of not communicating in between teams. And that's actually a curious one. Let me elaborate on this. We have different teams building neighboring apps. And those teams were building shared components. The simple example is a sign-up form or buttons or like a regular, very simple components like UI components. And they were building the same stuff in different teams. And we ended up, and they did not know that other people do the same job. And we ended up with double the work, and we ended up with components that were supposed to look and work the same way, but actually they weren't. They were 3 or 4 variations of this component that looks differently and behave differently, and in different parts of the platform that is supposed to kind of give the same user experience, so they should work the same way. And we also had different development processes, and this one is also a curious one because usually it's not a problem. Each team should have the right to work out their own process, the process that works for them the best. But because we were understaffed, our designers worked by jumping from one application to another application, from one project to another project, crafting parts of it, particular features that were needed at that time because they were needed the most. And once they finished it, they moved on to another project, to another team. And there was a problem with onboarding because each time a designer jumped from one team to another team, things were completely different there. And they figured out stuff completely different way. The process was different. And the actual design work came much later. It was delayed because people had to find their way into the process. So we had efficiency suffering a lot. And there were many more problems, but let's just focus on this ones and move on. So we had problems determined. And we got with the strategy. Yeah. Not this one, sorry, this one. We came out with the strategy. As my mind was steaming trying to figure out how we can fix at least part of these issues, I figured out that if I do want to start changing things for the better, I need to somehow make the people who's going to approve these changes agree with me. I need to convince them somehow. And fortunately, I was not alone on this. I had strong support of the enterprise manager that she was working there already, trying to relentlessly improve this project for over a year. So she gave me a pretty strong, solid heads up of what can I expect on the front lines of the battlefield. So we came up with a strategy to start implementing long-term changes that aim to fix and prevent the technical issues. It sounds a little mysterious, but let me just show you it's not the rocket science, really. We're just trying to fix up and patch up the biggest holes in the communication and the process and the workflow. So very quickly, let's skim through it. Our great designers, they created a really good design system. So the library of the UI components that allowed us to make the applications standardized. So they actually looked and worked the same way, finally. We introduced work in sprints so we could measure the work, organize the work better. and introduce some metrics. We introduced the Jira flow, a universal Jira flow for all the teams that actually hosted some space for design process as well, and we can measure it, and it solved the onboarding process. More about like an obvious changes, accessibility, usability improvements, quality assurance, cross-team design updates. That's actually took people out of the dark and improved communication, improved transparency. And we introduced those retrospective meetings that it all sounds very familiar, but actually there was none of this practice there. And we fought bravely for the continuous communication with PMs and leadership. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we had determined our problems. We even got a strategy how to solve this. But I want to talk about a way more challenging aspect, at least for me, which was to mingle, to become present, to become visible to all these people, that really a lot of people there, and make them agree to these ideas and to convince them to these ideas. And it's really not an easy thing. So there I was asking myself, how do I do that? How do I become present and visible to these people? How do I make the corporate leadership listen to my ideas? How do I convince product manager to follow my suggestions? And how do I build trust and respect within my new team? And most importantly, is it worth it? Is it worth the effort? Is it even possible to change the corporate ways? Corporations work like this for so long, and it's so hard to change anything. Is it worth to battle the corporate ways? And I realized quickly that in my case, I could not afford not to care, simply because the work on this project as it was at that time was already becoming frustrating for me. And I knew that it was already frustrating for some time for my new team, the team I inherited. So if I wanted to make a change, if I wanted for these changes to be approved, things would, and I want to keep working on this project when, sleep at night, the things need to change for us for the better and quite quickly. And so the story continues. So the hardest part, of course, is to convince all these people that this is the way, and that these changes we propose are going to bring us all the benefits of better communication, better transparency, more efficient development process, etc., etc. And so I'm going to reveal to you now my 5-step strategy of how to convince people that I came up with during a lot of let's call it stalking through the meetings, and I was there observing these people and the interactions between them, many meetings to figure out how this group works, what are the dynamics, and what people agree to, and what arguments work on them. So that's my 5-step strategy. And I'm gonna give you a little spoiler. Please use it anytime you find yourself in similar situations, because surprisingly, even for me, this actually worked pretty well. So let's go quickly through this ones. Step 1, show up, become visible to everyone. At the beginning, I was there on every meeting. My camera turned on so they can see me. Most important, I think, what was it, is to make them remember your face and remember your role. So be there, ask questions, and make impression that you're actually there, that you're engaged in the projects, that you do want to change things for the better. Step 2, be likable and respectful to everybody's work. And this one's tricky and very hard, because it's always hard to tell somebody that things are not working the best way and that things would need to change. And it's both very hard to say, and it's even harder to listen to. So you need to be cautious and you need to approach it with delicacy. Step 3 is to prove you know what you're doing. And I think this is the one that does the biggest part of the job, because you need to step by step build your reputation. And what did it for me is to pick up the hardest part of the task, like the task nobody wants to take. Everybody's avoiding it because it's either too complex or too big or just too boring. It's just nobody knows how to approach it. Take it and do it and show that it can be done well. And that was the moment, the outbreak for me, when they started to actually coming back and asking for help and asking for questions or asking for more. Step 4, find people that side with you. So just approach people that agree with your ideas or feel the same in the situation you're all with, and make them advocate for your ideas to just spread the ideas faster. And final step, 5th, introduce your ideas broadly, officially, on official meetings, and clearly communicate what benefits they bring, and be prepared to repeat it continuously, because there is always somebody missing on corporate meetings. So we'll have to repeat it. So this is it. And as I gave you some spoilers, it actually worked pretty well. And we got approval for most of the issues for most of the changes from the list. Of course, implementation, that's another matter, because it just takes time and takes effort. And if you're thinking now that it sounds a little bit suspicious, it sounds a bit too easy, and it sounds like an advertisement of services, let me tell you that you might be a bit wrong here, because none of it was easy, not a bit. It was an extreme effort. It still is, and none of it actually worked at first try, not even on the second or third. But eventually, it does. Eventually it works. And now we are in the process of improving the product. The whole product gets better. The work environment gets better as well. We got much better feedback, both from user and from our team and people that work with us. So it does work. But let's leave it and come back to our main questions now. So can we change how the work is done in corporate environments? Hopefully, throughout this story and throughout this example, you see that things can be changed. It is achievable. And hopefully you got some ideas how to do it. You got some tips how you can approach these problems. Is it worth battling the corporate ways, and why should we even care? I think I'm going to leave this one open for you so you can answer it by yourself. For me, it was. For me, it still is. Simple reason is self-care and caring about a working environment for my team, my new team, and people around me. I believe this is it's very difficult these times to be proud of your work, to be self-satisfied of your work, if you don't have a decent possibility to just do your job well. And creating the conditions where talented people thrive, it should always be our priority. So yeah. And to wrap it up, my message for you, a bit cliche, but still, is that no matter if you are in the hierarchy, no matter the conditions, remember that you can change things for better if you craft a good plan, find the right people, and you just prepare to be determined. And here, my short story ends. This is all from me for you today. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for being here. And my name is Monika Soja. I am a senior UX UI designer, an information architect, and a team lead. And if you can find me on LinkedIn. If you want to talk afterwards, I'm open. And this is it. That's all from me. Thank you very much.